Hour number one in full effect on the early line right here on the SportsGrid Network. Joe Raineri and Donnie Rightside. Passion, Joe. Passion. Sometimes I'm passionate about things that don't even have anything to do with what happens on the field, but it's about the field itself. I can't stand when I watch the Chicago Bears for the last 20 years. Oh, let the grass grow, and the grass is bad, and we can't do this, and we can't do that, and it's too cold in the stadium, and we messed up our redevelopment here of Soldier Field. Let's remove that from the equation. We're now starting to see some teams like the Chicago Bears go, why don't we build a dome so we can get a Super Bowl? And I said yesterday, who wants to go to Chicago in February for a Super Bowl? Hey, the NFL can host outdoor parties on Lake Michigan. Stop the madness at this point. But now I take a look at the Denver Broncos. Always fun in the Mile High City. Why? Because what a home field advantage. It's at elevation. It's going to be cold. It might snow, and Denver's going to have that advantage. You know what Denver goes? We're going to build a world-class facility that's going to be a dome/retractable roof stadium. What's the point? I don't know. I have no idea where we're going in the NFL, where these teams are saying, well, then we can hold concerts year-round, understandably. But if we just got an agreement, Joe, from the NFL teams, because case in point, like the Houston Texans, the Indianapolis Colts finally had their roof open this weekend. Retractable roofs mean we'll open it one time a year. You get to the playoffs. I want to keep it closed. There's more noise. If I can get a guarantee from every NFL team that the roof will never, ever be closed for football games, but for the Super Bowl and or concerts, I'd have no issue with it. But, Joe, we all know the truth. You know, down in Houston, the Astros, where they play baseball, how many times they open that stadium? Once a year, maybe? Why even get a retractable roof to fake like you actually want to keep it open? That's my issue.
That there is only one sports franchise that should have a enclosed dome in Colorado. One. And it ain't Denver, the Denver Broncos in the NFL. It's the Colorado Rockies, okay? Because in April, it's snowing when they're playing baseball games, okay? See, that sport you can't play, Donnie, unless you have a roof over to protect yourself from the elements. Not like they'd ever play in October anyway, don't get me wrong. But if there's one professional team that should have an enclosure, it should absolutely be the Rockies, not the Denver Broncos. This is another one. How much money could a Super Bowl bring you? I don't understand that. You're going to spend these billions of dollars to get it once every, 8 years, 9 years? Like, how is that even possible?
Yeah, Denver's not the rotation, Joe. Like, Denver's never going to be in the rotation. They're going to build it to get a Super Bowl, which is once of every, let's just say, 15-year event or 20-year event for Denver. It's a fallacy that says we can have other concerts in town. I understand that. But keeping the roof open, and also, like, the true advantages, right? Hey, you don't want to play in Denver, in Buffalo. You don't want to play in Philadelphia, because if you're a warm weather team, that's a major disadvantage. Your major advantage for Denver is playing in the elements. You're used to it here. The fans are used to it. And also the pageantry of TV. Football is made to be played in the elements. Case in point, Joe, we don't play football in the NFL in May, June, July, August, and September and have the Super Bowl September the 30th. It's played in the heat of September and then evolution right through to the winter in most cities. I don't know why we're trying to reinvent the wheel. Otherwise, Joe, what's going to happen in 10 years? Everybody must have a dome stadium. And also the concept of, if we get a stadium here, we get the Super Bowl. Nobody wants to go to Denver for the Super Bowl. We want to go to Vegas. We want to go to New Orleans. We want to go to Miami. We want to go to party cities. Nobody wants Denver in February for a Super Bowl, Joe. Nobody.
Yeah, it would almost be like going to MetLife for a Super Bowl. Like, nobody wants to do that. Like, nobody. Like, nobody wants to go to Indy for a Super Bowl. Like, nobody wants to do these things, okay? So stop it. And by the way, who's paying for these stadiums? I'm just curious. Who's building domes? Are the Broncos footing the bill themselves?
They are. Yeah.
They are. They're going to. Okay, so listen, at that point, do what you're going to. Listen, your team, your billions of dollars, you're going to foot the bill. By all means, do whatever you want to do. But the idea and selling it to the public that, don't worry, we're doing this, Bronco fans, so we can get an event that will come here once every 12 years if we're lucky. Good luck with that. Let me know how that works out.
Yeah, and also, I'm not an accountant as well, but the Walton family owns the Broncos, which, if anybody doesn't know the Walton family, it's Walmart. So understand this. They are not out of their civic duty, as they say, footing the bill all themselves. Because billionaires that look and go, hey, you know what? You're going to give me half for the stadium. Yeah, I'm going to take it. The reason they're not doing it, Joe, what is it? A tax write-off for Walmart? Like, hey, you know, if we foot this bill for $3 billion, we'll save $4 billion in taxes down the road. There's a reason why they're not asking the city of Denver for money, because what rich person has never asked the city and they all do that. That's why they're rich. They get freebies all the time. So I understand their civic duty comment here. Probably not civic duty. It means bottom line is we're going to save money if we actually put this money out and write it off as a loss. And then, oh yeah, all those revenues that the city usually gets, since we paid for it ourselves, you're not going to be able to dip into any of those tax advantages. We are going to get all of those tax advantages. Just the way it goes here. Let's keep moving here. I could talk stadiums and get angry all day long. We don't even have enough time for that here. Jalen Carter gets fined for spitting on Dak Prescott, but he's going to play in week number 2 against the Kansas City Chiefs. And by the way, that's a big deal. And I'm not saying like the difference between winning and losing is a defensive tackle. The Eagles did beat the did beat the Dallas Cowboys on opening day. But for me, Carter playing in this game, massive advantage for the Eagles now getting after Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, very much so. And again, I mean, there shouldn't be a whole lot of outrage here because let's face it, he didn't play in the game. And like you mentioned earlier, Donnie, it's one thing if he played into the middle of the fourth quarter and then got thrown out, well, then we'd all be like, yeah, you're probably missing against the Chiefs. But since he didn't play it down, which is still head scratching, to be completely honest, that he allowed himself to get locked into that is ridiculous. But I don't think we'll have that issue with him again this week against the Chiefs.
No, he should be fine here. I'll tell you who's not fine, though. George Kittle. He's down for weeks and weeks and weeks. Goes to the IL. So this isn't a 2-week thing, at least a 4-week thing. Hamstrings are tricky, man. Once you get them, you have to let them heal 100% or they will continue to creep up. Hate the fact he's on the IL, but Joe was the only move they could make.
It's the only move they could make. And it wasn't the only move they made yesterday, too, because they have to find a new kicker as well, because that guy's awful moody. I don't know what happened to him, but they got to move him. They got to move on because he can't hit water if he fell out of a boat. So there are some issues with this 49ers team early.
By the way, they always say, like, you can't make the club in the tub. How about Christian Watson here? Signs an extension, and he's still out injured. This guy's been injured more than he is available, Joe.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, when's the last time we saw him, Donnie? It's crazy.
I don't know. Get out there. Run some routes, people. By the way, you know he's going to be running routes on Thursday night? The Green Bay Packers. Is he going to be out there with them? Come on back. Let's cap this game and have some fun with it now. Joe Raineri, when you get a taste of football, you always want it in your life. You want football every single day. Now, granted, there's going to be a time coming up, what is it, maybe in November, we start the action, and there's a game every single night of the week for like 32 straight days, and it's a football bonanza. We'll get there. But when you get the appetizer of a week number 1 in the NFL, where if you made money, congratulations. If you didn't, you're looking to get back this week, but you just want football on your TV, you do have to wait one more day. And we're going to cover this game ad nauseum tomorrow, but it's nice to sort of get that opening kickoff feel, because Thursday Night Football is usually reserved for the Carolina Panthers of the world and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Look at this game tonight. Yeah, we'll watch. Yes, we're handicapped, but it means nothing in the standings. Au contraire, tomorrow night, 8:15 p.m. in Green Bay, Wisconsin. That's Lambeau Field. It's the Washington Commanders and the Green Bay Packers. Both of these teams 1-0. Both of these teams in the NFC. This could be one of those non-divisional games, but conference games that could come up in the standings at the end of the season, where whoever wins this game gets the nod and the boost and might be able to host a playoff game instead of being on the road. The line opened up, Joe, 3.5 as a favorite towards the Green Bay Packers. The line currently sits 3.5 towards the Green Bay Packers. A total that opened at 48.5. You know where it still sits today? 48.5 to 48, depending on where you're shopping at. Give me a quick little look, Joe, when you first saw that line and the expectations for Thursday Night Football.
Well, I mean, the expectations are, watching that Green Bay-Detroit game, it was clear to me, and in case you have forgotten, Matt LaFleur is a damn good head coach. And, I don't know that he ever gets enough credit, Donnie, and he's put into the conversation enough, because when you look at just his time there in Green Bay, what he has done in the month of September early on in the season, I mean, the Packers are 16-3 against the number in their first 3 games of the season since 2019. That's the best in the NFL of any team, Donnie, that early on. He's also 8-0 against the number at home at Lambeau Field. The only way in September you have these kinds of numbers is because you're a damn good coach who's got his team ready to play football early on. And that's I don't put Washington in that category at all. Tough place to play, and with a coach that last week looked like they were playing, had been playing football for 2 months. They look like October, November form. I don't see any reason to fade LaFleur or the Green Bay Packers at home this early in the season.
Yeah, my always rule of thumb, too, is on Thursday night football games, like even as it starts to build at the later parts of the season, is it's home team or no team for me, because the distinct disadvantage that you are at from being the road team, which means, again, both of these teams played on Sunday. Well, one team went home after Sunday and got relaxed and goes, okay, we got practice for a couple of days. They're going to play right back in the same stadium. Meanwhile, Washington played at home on Sunday football. They have Monday, Tuesday, then you're in the air on Wednesday, and then you're there for Thursday. You have to travel. You have to get on a plane for a few hours and then get to Green Bay, and it's a hostile environment. We understand that. It's still early in the season, and we always like to preach. Weeks 1 and weeks number 2, some of the toughest weeks in the NFL season to handicap, but I'm with you. That line's not moving at 3.5. It feels like they got it right, because you move it to 3, the avalanche comes down on the Green Bay Packers. You start to move it up to like 4.5, 5. Then people are like, all right, you know what? I think it's going to be a close game. But even in the first games of the season, Jalen Daniels wasn't really tested all that much, Joe. 30 passes total, 1 touchdown pass in the end zone, of course. Jordan Love, 16 of 22 with 2 touchdowns here. Both of their teams won comfortably here. I'm looking to see some adversity in this game. I'm intrigued. Like, if we ask you, Joe, for like one betting pattern to look at, is it the quarterbacks? Is it the running backs and the wideouts? It's really the quarterbacks for me in this game.
It's the quarterbacks and the head coach. Keep in mind, too, watching that Commanders game against the Giants, why count 12 penalties in week 1? I mean, there you go. That's the difference between LaFleur and Green Bay and what you're getting with the Commander. You can't have 12 penalties in a game against the Giants in game 1, no less. Yeah. I think a short week, less time to be able to correct those kinds of mistakes, which means, Donnie, there's going to be overflow into this game for the Commanders. If you're that sloppy and that undisciplined, a short week on the road is not going to help that. It's going to help the Green Bay Packers, that's for sure.
Jordan Love, total right now for his passing prop, 226.5, and that's live. And Jaden Daniels is 225.5. The touchdown props over 1.5. One is juice, and that's Jordan Love at -112, and one is plus money. That's Jaden Daniels at +122. Some of the markets that we always enjoy, right, are the touchdown props. Josh Jacobs in that Saquon Barkley territory at a -210 price. Everybody else, though, Joe, is plus money. Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, Jaden Daniels, Jaden Reed, which is nice. This isn't 37.5, Joe. We're in the high 40s. We're getting touchdowns. So you're getting some good price points there.
10 touchdowns, 10 games in a row now. Josh Jacobs has scored a touchdown for the Packers. 10.
Yeah. How about that, people? Touchdowns flying Thursday night football. I cannot wait to get there. It's not quite game time decisions because the game isn't up yet on deck. We're talking about a Sunday afternoon football game, Joe Raineri, at 4:25 p.m. All the brightest lights will be there, all the best telecasters, and a lot of energy put in. Why? It's the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs, a rematch of the Super Bowl. And if you can see right now over my shoulder, if I have this one correctly right there, see there's a Lombardi trophy in the background. That Lombardi trophy is specific to the Philadelphia Eagles, knocking off the Kansas City Chiefs 40-22 in New Orleans. What a glorious day it was in the DRS household. And it might be an even more glorious day on Sunday as the Philadelphia Eagles hope to pulverize the Kansas City Chiefs. Before we get to the game itself, let's set the table, right? You look at the side. Opened up as a favorite towards Kansas City, -1.5. No longer the case. The Eagles are now the favorites at -1.5. You look at the total, Joe, 46.5s, still out there in the marketplace, 47s starting to creep in. The Eagles and the Chiefs, Sunday afternoon rematch of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you don't often see this here, but this is, Patrick Mahomes in 68 career home starts, Donnie. You want to know how many times he's closed as an underdog? Yeah,
how many?
Once.
Whoa.
Back in 2022. Wow. You want to care to guess on who that was against? Yeah.
Was the Eagles?
Buffalo. Yeah, no, Buffalo. The only time he's even come close to being either a very short favorite at home or an underdog has been against the Buffalo Bills during the regular season here. So, listen, he has only been a 1.5 or shorter favorite 3 times at home, all 3 against the Bills, all 3. Well, he gets, what happens there eventually. So do we believe this Eagles team is better than the Bills were back then? Can they actually go into Arrowhead and crush the dreams of the Kansas City Chiefs finally? I have my doubts, Donnie. I have my doubts. It's one
Normally I
thing
would
beating them
say
in
be wary, Joe.
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Beat them in Arrowhead.
Here, by the way, the Eagles did win at Arrowhead a couple seasons ago. So shout out the Philadelphia Eagles on that one before they collapsed at the end of the season, which I don't want to remember. I want to remember the good times, like hammering the Chiefs. If you are the Chiefs, Joe, do you know what you do though? You put the sprinklers on. You ever see Bull Durham like the night before the game? They go, I'm going to cause a rain delay. You go out and turn the sprinklers on. Patrick Mahomes should go out and turn the sprinklers on the night before, and nobody understands the field is flooded, so the Eagles can't get a pass rush. If the Eagles get a pass rush, they will smash this Kansas City Chiefs team. I can't wait to watch it play out. And also, Jalen Carter playing in this game. Expectations are, yeah, he's going to be motivated from being embarrassed that he sat out game number 1, but also, does that mean an extra personal foul? Does that mean the refs watch him extra close and we could get some danger territories? Because he has to pay a $57,000 fine, which nobody wants to do. But also understand this. There must have been some automatic triggers, because here's what I can't figure out. Is the Eagles and Drew Rosenhaus came to an agreement where they weren't going to take his signing bonus away or a proration of that signing bonus, which means if you are suspended for a game, that's in your contract. It must have been an automatic trigger that they work back out, because the one thing I know about human beings, yes, they get angry, but there's nothing worse than when they get extra angry by saying, well, I lost $57,000. Now you want to take away $3 million of my signing bonus? Yeah, that's the way you get the best out of your player. So I think they avoided an absolute ridiculous anger issue for Jalen Carter if they were going to take additional money away from him.
Yeah, well, it could have, the whole scenario, Donnie, could have been absolutely a train wreck, especially had they had lost and did thing. But I think they all avoided it. It's now ancient history, right? What have you done for me lately? So he has an opportunity, and the Eagles have an opportunity. I mean, quite honestly, we're also talking about a Mahomes team and a Chiefs team that are absolute money off a loss. I mean, this is a team that is always bet on. 27-3 straight up is what we have seen them do off a loss with Mahomes and Reed. So they don't lose a lot, but when they do, they don't tend to lose 2 in a row. I got to tell you, this is a chance for the Eagles to just basically bury the Chiefs to start the season.
Joe's pointing out a very good point. Like teams that start 0-2, 0-3, it's a wrap on your season. Can you make the playoffs? Sure you can, but it takes a Herculean effort. And also understand this. This isn't a full-go Chiefs team. 2 of their best wide receivers will not play in this football game. Advantage Philadelphia Eagles. We'll see how certainly it plays out Sunday. You know where else there could be an advantage? For the New Orleans Saints. What? That team stinks. They would never have an advantage. Well, it's always nice when the other team comes to town and maybe doesn't have their quarterback. Brock Purdy, whether it's a shoulder issue or the toe that they're worrying about, they're going to see how he progresses throughout the week, which is a major indicator on why this line, Joe, dropped from 7.5 to 4.5. George Kittle, we already know, is out, but you're starting quarterback down on the road. That gives hope to the Saints.
Well, I mean, listen, you got to ask yourself last week with the Saints, were the Saints better than what we gave them credit for, or is Arizona just a joke here that they couldn't pull away from that team? Because don't forget, New Orleans had a chance late in that game to actually pull it out and win it and pull out the upset, but they didn't. So they are home. But to me, Brock Purdy, is Christian McCaffrey healthy? Is he available? Is he a guy that you can rely on to win a game for you when you're down a couple of guys? Yes, he is. So as long as he's in the game, I give the 49ers a pretty good opportunity still to beat a very bad Saints team.
Exactly. Like if Purdy is there and just able to play the game, I do think that bodes well for the San Francisco 49ers. As you look at their schedule, nice win for Seattle over the weekend here in a conference game, or excuse me, divisional game and a conference game on the road. You take on the Saints, then you get the Cardinals, then you get the Jaguars. It's a good level where it's like, all right, if we're not at our best at 100%, this is the time that you want to have a little bit easier of a schedule. You don't want to run a gauntlet where your quarterback and your best tight end are down for multiple weeks. We'll see how it plays up, but also understand this. It is tough to win football games on the road in the NFL, regardless of the environment. And you saw that with Arizona. They were in a dogfight there with the New Orleans Saints. I'm not saying you'll get that this week, but this isn't also, like we talked about the Chiefs, Joe, a full gas, full go 49ers team. They're down at wide receiver. They're down at tight end. Their quarterback's beat up. And who knows if McCaffrey can have another 20-touch week and still be non-injured the rest of the way.
But what they are is a darn good defensive team still that could make Spencer Rattler turn the ball over 2 times, 3 times. So the defense and Robert Saleh there will be ready for whatever this offense of the Saints thinks they have. The defense can win games too, and that may be what happens in this 49er game.
You want college football, we give it to you. You want the NFL, we give it to you. You want breakdowns of Major League Baseball, we give that to you as well. In just a few moments, we're also going to give you some winners to go away with on your daily card here at the SportsGrid Network. But before we do that, Joe, we love the people out there. We love to reach out to the people. We want information from the people. And here's our Fade the Public poll. Cooler heads prevailed here. Look, Joe Raineri, Donnie Rightside, cool heads here. You know what you get here. No pulling punches here. We give it to you straight. And the NFL goes, you know what? I don't think we should suspend Jalen Carter. Here's the question we asked. If you follow us at SportsGrid on X, it's easy. Should Jalen Carter have been suspended for week number 2? Was the question. Yes or no answer. No, 47.3%. Yes, 52.7%. Sounds like a lot of Chiefs fans voted today on the SportsGrid Network, Joe, for Fade the Public.
No, they absolutely did. I mean, listen, again, if he would have played even half the game, we could make the argument that, yes, a full game suspension is warranted. But since he got thrown out and he didn't even play a snap, so, yeah, he missed that game, and that's it. I mean, what are we going to do here? He already paid and wrote the check, right, Donnie? So let's not. Yeah. Then you'd have to look at it like the champion Philadelphia Eagles. Are we trying to put them behind the 8 ball to start the season? Hey, he paid his dues. Yeah. He paid the check. Let's move on.
Absolutely. Let's move on. Let's get a big-time win for the Philadelphia Eagles. Look, I told you before, Joe, the Dallas Cowboys no longer America's team. But also, did you see, we talk about ratings a lot, like in the sports business. They had the Philadelphia Eagles-Dallas Cowboys game tracked to be the most watched opening day performance in NFL history until the lightning strike started here. And it wasn't the Cowboys holding those ratings, Joe. No. It was your Philadelphia Eagles. That's how I like to get down. We'll see how Jalen Carter does in week number 1 for him. That's really in week number 2. By the way, 90-degree temperatures on Sunday afternoon in Kansas City. Something to watch out for. Drink your pickle juice, people. No cramping is allowed.